Everybody. Today I've got Patrick Holland. He's the founder of the Missouri Freedom Initiative, and the reason why I got him on here today is we both went up and testified for Senate Bill, I believe that's 161.
That's
which
correct.
Is Mary Elizabeth Coleman's to eliminate sales tax on food. Now last year when she was at House of Representatives, it was 1992, which unfortunately never seen the light of day as far as making it to the floor. But this year, I think we got a lot more momentum. So I was kind of wanting to get your take on it too, because we're both up there testifying in favor of it.
So this was a committee testimony situation. So this wasn't a floor hearing or anything of that nature. So in a hearing like this, in this nature, they let the public come forward and either support the bill or be for the bill, be against the bill, or provide information about the bill, which is neutral. So what we found out today, first of all, I think we had 13 people testify for the bill to get rid of sales tax in the state of Missouri, and then 2 informational that were basically against but didn't want to be against publicly because of probably previous testimony. Also, it is of note that it looks to me like Democrats, unfortunately on the committee, are questioning this, saying the schools need the money. So I hate to say that, but that is the case. I don't like to be a right-left guy, but the Democrats were saying the schools need that money. We shouldn't be taking it away from the schools. However, the public loves the bill, and the Republicans on the committee were in favor of the bill as well. So, we did have an interesting conversation with a couple of senators afterwards, and with Mary Elizabeth herself as well. And we have promised support for that bill as long as it stays pure. What do I mean by it staying pure? She offered a committee substitute on the bill, and the committee substitute actually removes local from the bill. So all they would be removing is state sales tax, which is 1.225%. We told her we won't support that. We do need it to be pure, complete removal of sales tax from food. That's what the Missouri Freedom Initiative wants. That's what the people want. And that's something that we can easily do in the state of Missouri. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yes, because I know that last year during a special session when we were up here, I got a chance to speak with the governor, and he was all for the elimination of sales tax on food. He was saying the problem was, they'll get the legislation to go with, they wouldn't do it. But when we talked to the House, people in the House that day, they were saying they were for it, but it was the governor that would have the problem with it. So it's kind of like a miscommunication. So it seems like...
No, actually it's not a miscommunication at this point. I'm seeing something a little more peculiar here.
Really?
I'm seeing Democrats saying they're for the people that are hurting financially, but you can't take the money from the schools.
But here's the thing, though. We've also had, when the casinos came into existence, that was supposed to pay for schools, the lottery. Right. And the problem is, that money should have took care of it, but it's not happening. So even if they use this as a reason, it's still never going to be enough. But they didn't do that last year during a special session when they gave all those tax cuts to agribusiness and everything else.
That's right.
But they always want to dump on the little people, and this sales tax cut is across the board. Almost everybody would benefit.
That's correct. In fact, I would say everybody that buys food in the state of Missouri would benefit, and that is the best regressive tax to get rid of.
Yes.
I mean, it is by far. If you want a better tax than getting rid of sales tax on food, I'll tell you what it is. I'm sorry, not as good, almost as good. Get rid of the sales tax on gasoline in the state of Missouri. Yeah. That also affects almost everybody. And then after that would be personal property tax, in my opinion.
Okay.
And so, but in that order, sales tax on food is immoral. It's immoral to begin with. We all have to eat, but now we got to give a lump of flesh to the government every time we want to eat.
Yeah.
And that is an immoral proposition.
And it's also one everybody wants, because last year during the regular session in Plocker's office, I spoke to his LA, and she said of all the calls that were made for different bills, that was the third most called in. So it's very popular among the people. And like I said, the governor is saying he didn't have a problem with it last year, and the House had said the same thing. So this should be
You would think, but I want to say one more thing about Senator Beck. I talked to him during Governor's special session, and he loved the idea of getting rid of sales tax on food. It's September 14th of 2022.
That's right.
Today, he's not liking it as much as he did back in September. I'm not going to answer for him on that, but we did have a conversation with him. I'm not going to bring the specifics of the conversation, but that is precisely what he said today, and that's not what he said in September of 2022.
So it kind of makes you wonder what's up with that. But I'll tell you what, we're going to change the subject right now because I know you're in a hurry. And all right, next thing we're going to talk about the bill that you've really been following here, and that's SB 100, Bill Eigel's bill, and that's making gold and silver
Legal tender in the
legal
state of
tender in the
Missouri.
state of Missouri.
Mhm.
I'll just let you take that. We both watched the floor proceedings this
We did.
afternoon. You got there a little earlier than me, so why don't you kind of give me a rundown of
You
what you
bet.
heard?
Okay, so what's happening with gold and silver is, first of all, it was heard in the Senate, and this is actually a floor proceeding now. We're beyond committee now. Committee was done last week. It, oddly enough, ended up on the floor today, and very quickly. It's the very first actual Senate bill other than a joint resolution heard in the Senate in 2023. It was attacked, but by Democrats, oddly enough. Apparently they're not real happy with it. They had a lot of questions about it. I think maybe it's a lack of understanding of how gold and silver work and the different free market options.
Honestly,
But-
I don't want to interrupt you, but that's what I was, because it's like the questions they were asking. It's more like they're just asking questions on how this is going to operate, because that's basically what Eigel was doing, was like re-explaining everything.
Yes. But what they did is they perfected the bill, and Senator Bratton
Yes.
offered up a very interesting amendment that I thought was a really good idea. And that was to ensure that cash and gold and silver are always going to be accepted by public entities in the state of Missouri. That means your DOR, and you go license, bureau, you go pay your taxes, you go anywhere that's a government agency. They have to take cash and gold and silver and, credit cards and debit cards.
Yes, and what Brad was bringing up, that if we go to, cashless society, which is, we all know there's a push for that. That's obvious. But what he was bringing up is, here in the state of Missouri, we'll be able to use gold and silver, cash, and other. To me, that's a great amendment. And I tell you what, I think maybe one or two people might have had something to say about that, but for the most part, it did get accepted. So that's going to be a part of the bill now, right?
Broad acceptance of the amendment. Yes. Amendment 1, and it was amended by Bill because he said all entities accept.
Yeah.
And Bill changed it to, because the Bill's bill says the public entities, in other words, the state, as opposed to private corporations. They're forcing the state to always accept gold and silver. And I think the way Bratton had originally written it in the amendment was everyone had to accept it no matter what. And so at any rate, so Bill offered an amendment to the amendment. Yeah, they do use that language in the Senate. And it was accepted. It was broadly accepted by the Senate. This is a done deal. We now have an amendment to SB 100 that's a really good idea. And other states should be looking at what we're doing right now. And we're looking what other states are doing too, believe you me. But this was an exciting day. The bill was perfected today, and it will probably come to a vote in the very near future.
Yeah, definitely keep your eyes out. Keep checking the Senate calendars.
Yep. So this isn't, once again, a passage of a bill, by the General Assembly signed by the governor. This is just going through the Senate process. Yeah. Once it's done in the Senate, it has to start the process all over again in the House and go through committees and then go through a House hearing and then get voted on. So, but at any rate, we're very close to a vote in the Senate. And right now it's looking pretty good. It's looking like this will definitely go through.
Okay, well, I know you guys got to get going. So, Patrick,
hey,
thank you for taking the time.
You bet. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate you, buddy.
No problem. All right, guess that's it.